Hey there, students. Today, what you guys are going to be doing is working on this sheet here that I had you guys glue in yesterday. And I'll come back to this one here uh, as far as the subsystems go. Um, but why don't we do this first? Let's have you take out a highlighter if you didn't do this yesterday. And we're just going to highlight these four words here about the Earth systems. So I just want you to grab your highlighter and highlight these just like they're vocabulary words. All right, so geosphere and includes the system of rocky material that makes up Earth, including the core, mantle, and crust. Um, that also includes things like hard structures like mountains, the rocks that make up mountains, or if you would go to like the Grand Canyon and you see all the rocks there. But it also includes what is underneath the earth, so the mantle and the core, lava, what comes out of volcanoes, and then also soil as well, topsoil and things like that are all part of the geosphere. The atmosphere we actually know quite a bit about. We've talked about this quite a bit. So, system of gases that surround the Earth. The hydrosphere we know pretty well too. The system of water on the planet. Remember, it's not just liquid water, but also gas, water vapor, and solid ice. And finally, the biosphere, which you guys would have learned about a lot in like seventh grade as far as living things. So, that again, that's everything that's living plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, um, anything from super small to super big. So, now what I'm going to have you guys do is go to the very bottom of this page here, and I'm going to have you read pages 3 through 7 as a class. And I'll you guys pause the video for that. But then I also want you to answer the think questions. So there's only 2 think questions. So if this can fit below, the page that you glued in here, go ahead and just write them on here. And again, you just need to write what's in black. So you don't need to write the reading of the pages there because you're going to do that together here as a class. So just write down think questions, page 7, and then write numbers 1 and 2, give some space in between them. If you cannot fit them on the bottom of this page, then you'll have to put this on a new page, but that's really all we need. So I figured most of you probably would have the room. All right. So now what I want you to do is you guys are going to read pages 3 through 7 as a class. There should be the purple planetary science books up on the counter for you. And you guys can just each, have one person go and grab enough for your table. Or if they're already at your table, just go ahead and grab them. And then I'm going to have your teacher pause the video here. You guys can read those either if you guys want to take turns or if you just want to have the sub read them, that's fine. It's totally up to you guys. So go ahead and pause the video and take the time to read through there. I want you to really be thinking about, examples of objects or, things that are included in each one of those spheres because they're going to come in handy for our next part. So I'll give you some time here to pause, and then you can start the video back up when you're done with the reading. All right. So assuming you're done with that reading now, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna post some images here, 8 images here, and you guys are going to decide, and we'll kind of work together through the first couple as a class. If those images include the geosphere in the image? Can you tell that the geosphere is there? Can you tell that the atmosphere is there? Now, the atmosphere is always a little tricky because obviously it's air and air is invisible, so it's probably technically in each of them, but look for signs of like visible things that the atmosphere is there. So, like clouds or, some sort of fog or something like that. Okay. Hydrosphere obviously would be water or something along those lines, and then biosphere would be something living that's in the image. And then, as far as your evidence of interactions, I just want you to describe what is the picture showing and how can you incorporate the ones that you checked in there. All right, so I'm gonna go. Let's see. Scroll down here a little bit. All right. So we'll do like the first two together, and then I'm just going to be showing you the images, and then you'll have to try to come up with them on your own, and we'll kind of see how you do here. Find it. Okay. So this is image number one. Image number one. So this one is actually taken, I believe, from a place in the Grand Canyon area. And so, according to your list, you have the G for geosphere. So, do you see any part of the geosphere here? Absolutely. You see the rocks there. The second one is atmosphere. Um, I don't know that I necessarily see direct evidence of the atmosphere. This sort of fuzziness that you see, that's just part of the water, but maybe. The other one is hydrosphere. All right. So definitely see the hydrosphere in the waterfall. And then the last one is biosphere. Now you do see some evidence for the biosphere. You see some plants here and along here. Also, this green usually is some type of fungi or some type of moss that thrive in like water type of environments. So all of those are examples of living things too. So this is what I would do as far as marking and Xing my for image number one. I would mark the geosphere, the hydrosphere, and the biosphere. Sorry, that X looks weird. Did it with my mouse. And then as far as my evidence of interactions, this is what I'm describing. And so in my description, I can tell the hydrosphere, waterfall going over rocks, that's the geosphere, with living plants nearby, that's the biosphere. So my evidence, all right, sort of incorporates all of them. And again, I'm hoping after the reading you have a little bit more of a sense of these four words and what's included and what's not. So again, in your evidence of interactions, you'll want to write down what is it that you see in the picture, that describes your geosphere, the hydrosphere, the biosphere. Again, the atmosphere is obviously there, but I don't really see a direct, piece of evidence for that. You'll see one in the next picture that's a little bit more evident. All right. And again, I didn't list the fungi down, but you could have also have listed that too. All right, let's look at the next picture here. Okay, so we have what looks to be an island, obviously. Trees need to grow out of some sort of ground, so they're not just growing up out of the water. So there is an island there. Trees, obviously, a living thing. So far I have geosphere with the island, biosphere with the trees. I obviously have water, assuming this is some type of lake. I'm assuming that is because usually you see these type of trees in a lake like that. You can also tell that they're conifer or they have pine needles too, which tend to find in lakes. And then this one, the atmosphere is pretty prevalent because you have the picture here with the clouds. Um, it's just more visible here in this picture than it was in the last one. So as far as our what to mark here, I actually marked each one of these. Okay, for image number two. So geosphere, atmosphere, hydrosphere, and biosphere. I marked all of them. And I then in my description, I put an island with trees in a lake with visible clouds at sunset. So I guess maybe sunset isn't necessary for you to have. It just kind of added to it. But an island that helps me get the geosphere with trees that tells me it's the biosphere in a lake that involves the hydrosphere with visible clouds. And if you even if you just put clouds, it doesn't have to have the word visible. But even if you just put clouds, that tells me that involves the atmosphere. All right. So the next ones are going to be on your own. I want you to try your best. Like I said, there is some sort of wiggle room with some of these, but like I said, unless you can clearly see, the atmosphere, assume that you don't need to mark it unless you can see evidence like we saw with the clouds there, or fog or something along those lines. All right. So with the next ones, I'm just going to be showing you the pictures, and then I will have your teacher pause, because I don't know how much time you guys will need to fill this out. So I'll just show it, remind your teacher to pause, and then they can start it back up again when you're ready for the next image, when it seems like you're ready for the next image. And it's okay to work on this with somebody else if you need help from a partner or something like that. I'm totally good with that. Okay. So again, we're working on image number 3 now. There's 8 images altogether. So let's look at image number 3. Okay, so we have some sort of cute little mouse or something. I don't even know if that's a mouse. The ears don't look right, but it looks cute. Looking like he's eating some plants in his habitat there. So again, you'll be marking the boxes and then describing this interaction here. So I'll have the teacher pause the video so you can get that done. All right. Okay, we're going to move on to image number 4. Image number 4. All right, looks like a place in the Caribbean or some sort of island getaway. Let's go ahead and write down if you see any evidence for the geosphere, the atmosphere, hydrosphere, and biosphere. And then you're going to write down your interaction combining all of those together. So pause the video here until you're ready for number 5. All right. So image number 5. All right, this is taken from a place in Hawaii, kind of recently here. A few years ago, there was a massive volcanic fissure that opened up on the islands due to some cracks and things like that. They were being exposed, and a lot of the island was covered in lava that ended up hardening. So, see if you can decide what is involved here in terms of the geosphere, atmosphere, and as far as the atmosphere goes, this is smoke that's given off, but it's now becoming part of the atmosphere, so you can definitely list that down. Hydrosphere, if you see anything involving the hydrosphere here, and biosphere. All right, so go ahead and pause it so you can write down your interaction. This was image number 5. Okay, moving on to image number 6. All right, not the picture we all kind of want to think about or believe, but this does happen. So this is, I'm not sure where this location is, but it could be anywhere, really, according to our Earth. But you see just piles of trash, garbage, plastic. You see a basketball here, lots of plastic water bottles and pop bottles. This must be American because that's like a Walgreens logo there and a Sonic cup. So it's not some like third world country that can't afford to get rid of this stuff. This is American. This happens. There's a sink. I just noticed that. I think that's a sink. I don't know. Looks like an upside down sink. Couple basketballs. So, how is the geosphere being shown in this? What evidence do you have of the geosphere? What evidence do you have, if any, for the atmosphere? Hydrosphere looks to be like some sort of river or creek, right? And then biosphere. All right. So pause the video here. Give yourself time to write down your interaction for image 6. All right. Image 7. Okay. So image 7 here, we have a family of polar bears and mother and 2 cubs on the ice. So geosphere. If you see any evidence for the geosphere or land, atmosphere, see if you see any for that. Hydrosphere and biosphere. So then go ahead and write down the interaction that you see that includes the spheres that you checked. I'll pause the video. All right, and the last one is number 8. Image number 8 should be on. All right, so this is a picture of Earth. And then this is also a picture of, some people might think it's the moon. It's not. This is actually Mars. And some students are actually surprised that Mars is a lot smaller than Earth is. And sometimes kids think that they're the same size. Mars is actually closer to the size of our moon than it is to the size of Earth. All right, so let's go ahead and do the geosphere. You see any evidence of the geosphere in either of these? Might be kind of hard to figure that one out. What about the atmosphere? Do you see any evidence of the atmosphere in either picture? Evidence for the hydrosphere and biosphere. Again, might be kind of harder to pick out from here. So go ahead and pause the video to give yourself time to do your interaction for that one. All right. So as far as the answers for these, like I said, I mean, there are answers that I would consider to be a little bit more correct than others. So we can kind of go through these quickly here. Let's start back at 3. So you definitely have evidence of the biosphere. You have evidence of the geosphere with the mouse sitting there on the rock. So again, I would say geosphere and biosphere. You don't see any water, you don't see any atmosphere there. And as far as your evidence of interaction goes, it could say something like a mouse, eating plants, sitting on top of rocks, something like that. All right, number 4 was this picture here. And I think you can make a case for all of these here. You have geosphere evidence in the sand and the beach, or, the land here in general, the islands. You have to be made of some type of, rock material. So you have sand on the beach or the islands. As far as the atmosphere goes, you have the white fluffy clouds. You also have the hydrosphere being the ocean water, blue water here, and then the biosphere obviously being the trees. So for that one, you could mark all of them. So again, interaction evidence. You could describe sand on a beach, with blue waters and fluffy white clouds in the sky. As long as yours doesn't have to be word for word, but as long as it's something that incorporates all of the interactions that you saw, that's good. Okay, image 5. Whoops, I'm going too far. Image 5 here is interesting. So it definitely involves the geosphere, because that's what the lava is that's cooling here, that technically is part of the geosphere. And the smoke definitely also is involved now in the atmosphere. All this smoke ends up going into the atmosphere. A lot of that is toxic gas. These guys probably should have like masks on and stuff like that, but I'm assuming they just don't know yet. And then the biosphere, obviously, you have the 2 people that are involved in the pictures, and then the land plants. The only thing that I would not mark is the hydrosphere. I don't see any evidence of that. So your explanation or your evidence here could be people are serving a lava volcanic eruption that's giving off smoke or steam or something like that. Okay, number 6. So this one involves the geosphere. You have kind of a sandy sandbar, I guess you could say that would probably be. Uh, Muddy water too, whatever. The atmosphere, I would say, is a no for this picture. I can't see it. The hydrosphere, obviously, you got the river involved. And then biosphere, you have plants involved, and biosphere, you can even make a stretch for who is responsible for this. It's obviously humans. No other living thing would do that. So we have the geosphere, the hydrosphere, and the biosphere. Okay, so you could write humans pollute riverbanks that pile up with garbage on a sandbar or something along those lines there. Again, just so your interaction shows me that you've done all of them. Okay, image number 7 here is our North Pole, or not North Pole, well, it would be North Pole creatures here. So we have the polar bears sitting on ice. So the only 2 things that would be involved in this one are the hydrosphere being solid ice and the biosphere. Right, I don't see the geosphere. A lot of ice can sit on water. It doesn't have to be connected to land, so I can't assume that there's land underneath there. So your evidence of interaction: polar bear mom and 2 cubs sitting on the ice. Simple as that. And then image 8 was our Earth and versus Mars. And we can see now, as evidence for the geosphere, you can see the land here in Mars for sure. It's harder to see in this one because the clouds are kind of covering it, but I definitely can see the geosphere. I can see the atmosphere, right? Because you can see clouds. You can definitely see the hydrosphere because you can see the blue water. Now, biosphere, I would not mark. Even though we know that there's life on our planet, we can't see it from this picture. So I would just put, you have, something like, Mars has a rocky surface, both of them have atmospheres, and Earth has water, something like that you can see from the picture. The blue is water. All right. So I think I'm going to stop there. I don't think we'll have time for that question anyway. So, and assuming that you guys already got through all of that, but otherwise, I will see you on Monday when I come back.